Hey guys, tonight what we're going to talk about is piecewise defined functions. And now what in the past when you've done a problem, right? You've done like a quadratic, you got a parabola. You did not get a parabola with a little piece of a different function tacked onto it. Well, that's what you're going to have now. You're going to have graphs, right? You're going to have functions, right? You have functions and their graphs made up from different pieces. Made up. So let's do a little, we'll do an easy one first so nobody gets hurt, okay? Ready? So it'll be f of x equals, and then we're going to put a big brace, x. And sometimes you'll see they'll write the word if over here. I'm fine if you just went like this. So it says f of x equals this. And so we got x when x is less than or equal 0, or it's going to equal x squared plus 2 when x is greater than 0. All right, now, so when I look at this, what I see is I see two pieces, right? We got the first piece if it's less than 0. We got the second piece if it's bigger than 0. All right, so when you're doing this, that's what you're going to think about. Now, so we're going to treat two separate parts. All right, now what you need to know is this first one, x, that's called it's a linear function. Sometimes you'll hear it called the identity function, right? So we're going to graph that, but you only graph it when x is less than or equal to 0. Okay, so it's going to have two parts. So you're going to have like two zones. This is how I think of it when I do it. I think of it as like two zones. So now you don't have to put this red line, I'm just showing you. There's two zones, okay? You got the left side of the 0 and the right side of the 0. And what you're going to do is you're going to plug in numbers. All right, so I'm going to plug in 0 because I'm allowed to equal 0 for the first one. So I plug in x is 0, therefore y is 0. Now, I can't go forward because it says x is less than or equal to 0. So I can only go backwards. So it's going to be -1, -2. It's going to be, this is the function. This is this part right here. Now, let's do this part. The x squared plus 2. X is greater than or equal to 0. Now, if I plug in 0, x squared plus 2, it'd be 0 plus 2 is 2. But you're not allowed to equal 0, so this will be an open circle. So this one here is open, and like you saw before, this one here was closed because of the equal sign. So I'm going to plug in, so 0. Next one, plug in 1. 1 squared is 1, right? So I got 1 squared plus 2. 1 plus 2 is 3. So at 1, I go to 3. And so what's going to happen is I'm going to have like a part, half a parabola and half a line together on the same graph. That's all it's going to be. And so now I plug in 2. 2 squared, 4 plus 2 is 6. Right? So 1, 2, 6. 3 is 9. 9 and 2 is 11. It's off my graph. So it's like this. But this whole function is called f of x. There's two parts, but one graph. Two parts of it, but there's one graph. This graph is called f of x. Let's try it again. All right. Let's do one a little more complicated. All right. So we'll call this one f of x again. And this time I'll have three zones. I'm going to have x plus 1 when it's less than or equal to -2. I'll have absolute value of x when it's from -2 up to 3. And I will have x squared minus 10, a parabola, when x is greater than or equal to 3. All right, we have three zones. We have three zones. Now, once again, you don't have to put this dotted line, but it might help you when you're first starting. So I got at -2, I got a zone, and at 3, I got a zone. Okay, so nice and easy, nice and easy. All right. Now, I'm going to start. So I'm going to start with this first one. X plus 1 less than equal to negative 2. All right, x plus 1 less than equal to negative 2. I'm allowed to equal negative 2. So when I look at this, I'm looking at closed, opens, and closed. When I look at this, this is what I say. And I'm going to plug in. So at negative 2, I plug in, and I got negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1. And not only that, it's closed, so I put a solid. But I can't go forward. I can't go into this middle zone here, so I'm going to keep on going back, right? So negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2, and it's a line, all right? It's a line. If I continued the line, it would hit the y-intercept would be positive 1. The slope is 1 also. Now I'm going to do the next zone. So here's the next zone. Absolute value, but it has to be open on the ends for absolute value of x. So if I plug in the absolute, I'm going to go to this middle zone now. All right, so this is the middle zone. I'm going to do it in green. Absolute value of x. At negative 2, absolute value of x is 2, but it's open. Right? Absolute value of negative 1 is 1, 0, positive 1, positive 2. Absolute value of 3 is 3, but it's open. So I got this piece of a V, kind of like a check mark, in the middle of my graph. Now my final part is this parabola. Okay, x squared minus 10. I'm going to do this one in blue. It takes place when it's, right? So now, what it would be, right, if it was just regular, it would be down here at 10, right, and it would be, you know, it would be some kind of parabola going like this. Well, I don't want this first part here. I can't have that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to plug in my piece now. I can plug in 3. 3 is good. So actually, let me just, so this would be 3 squared minus 10. 9 minus 10 is negative 1. At 3, it should be negative 1. And I'm closed. 4 squared minus 10. All right, 16 minus 10 is 6. So I go to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 25 minus 10 is 15. I'm off the chart already. But this whole function, there's 3 parts. The whole function is still just f of x. So that's it. All right. So if you had trouble, back it up, try it again. You can also use a calculator to like kind of get like a feel for it. Like in reality, right? If we were, you know, not that we want to do this, but this would be a parabola, right? Going down here, right? So this would look like this. This V would go like this, and this line would go like this. So what some people do, what some kids do, is they graph them on a calculator, and then they just kind of pick the zones. I personally think that's more complicated, so I would not do that. I would just do it nice and easy, piece by piece. All right, guys? That's great. Have a nice night, and see you tomorrow.